Okay, so today I want to talk about something a little different. You know, usually I'm out on the street taking photos and talking as I take photos, but today I'm not going to be out on the street. I kind of want to talk about the equipment that I use and how I get that equipment to where I use it. I'm talking bags, I'm talking cameras, I'm talking lenses. I'm going to talk about what is in my bag for my casual documentary style photography. First things first, let's talk about the bag that I use most often. And this is the bag that I use mostly for casual, everyday street photography, rather than when I'm on a job doing something like videography or a larger project that involves having more equipment. So the thing I like about this bag in particular when I'm doing street photography is that it looks nothing like a camera bag. It looks like a basic backpack. And for the most part, it is. I got it off of Amazon for about $50 or $60, and it does exactly what I need to do on a daily trip. It opens like a normal backpack. It has space up here at the top. It has a laptop sleeve. It has one zipper pocket right here, and that is it for the top. The feature that I love most about this bag is the way that it opens to access your camera equipment. It opens from the side, but not in the way that you might think. It has a drawer where you can put your camera equipment comfortably and so that no one really thinks it's in there. So let's get it out of the way and talk about the camera that I use most often. So this is the Fuji XT5. I bought this camera about 3 or 4 months ago in order to preserve the life of my Fujifilm X-E4, which is my favorite camera for regular use. I'm using the XT5 in this case because it has some features that the X-E4 does not, and it is actually available for people to purchase. Not mine, but you know, online. The X-E4 having been discontinued. On this camera, of course, I have this leather grip. I think it's going to weather nicely with, you know, the oils from my hands. But I also have this lens here. And this is the TTArtisan's 23mm f1.4. I got it on a whim. I got it for a trip to Mexico because I wanted something easy, light, or if it got damaged or it broke, I wouldn't be too concerned. I got it for about $100 Canadian. But this lens surprised me. The photos that I was able to produce with it were some of my favorite that I've ever taken. It reminds me of that Voigtlander look, and if you know, you know. Next up are the two lenses that I bring with me practically everywhere. These are Fuji lenses. This is the 18mm f2 and the 35mm f2. They cover the basic ranges that you might need. So the 18 is about a 27, 28mm lens. It's that wide street photography style that I absolutely love. What's special about this lens, I think, versus almost every other lens that I've used with Fujifilm is that it is optically imperfect. It is doing something that most lens companies aren't really considering, and that's making a character lens. One that is imperfect, it is soft, it is slow. There's something so special about using this lens and the way that it renders all types of photography. It's one that is very near and dear to my heart. I also love how small it is. It's smaller than the 35 and has the same aperture. And speaking of the 35, this is my normal lens. This is the one that I use if I want to capture things in the most normal way. I got it because most film cameras, when you buy them new, or when you did, they came with a 50mm lens. They came with a 51.8 or a 50 f2.8, f2, f1.4. They are the lenses that I most associate with photography in the world of documentary. And this is a 50mm equivalent field of view lens on a Fuji camera, which has a crop sensor. Beyond that, I have this new toy. So this is the Godox Cadet Lux flash. It came out very recently. It is a retro style flash, as you can see there, and I think it pairs really nicely with my Fuji X-T4. It is retro by design and it can only face forward. And I do a lot of front-facing photography for parties, for street portraits. It's something that I've always enjoyed doing, and I think it's getting more and more popular again with that digicam look, or that disposable camera look. The thing I like about it is that it uses its own battery rather than some of the flashes made for Fujifilm draw the battery from the camera, which can reduce the amount of shots that you have on your camera. So I think these pair very nicely together. In addition to that, I need batteries while I'm out. Usually I have 2 spare batteries and 1 inside of the camera. I use third-party batteries and I use first-party batteries interchangeably. These ones don't last as long, but they're much cheaper, so they're easier to replace. And I've never had a third-party battery ever fail on any camera ever over the years, so I'm not worried about this one messing up my camera. If it does, well, I just cursed myself. 2 batteries can very easily get me through a day, but just in case I am going photo crazy, I do bring this power bank. And a power bank is a power bank is a power bank. Well, yes and no. The reason why I love this one so much is that it has cables built into it. This is a power bank that I bring with me everywhere, whether or not I'm taking photos. So it's got your Lightning for iPhone, it has your USB-C, but it also has your USB micro for some older equipment that is still kicking around. And I do have some older equipment that still uses it, so it's nice to have that option. What is extremely nice about it is that you don't need cables to charge it. It has a built-in plug. So you can plug it into the wall, not having to worry about having a block, having to have extra cables. It's all built into itself, so there are no extra things to think about while you're out so that you can focus on the photos that you were taking. So this is how I film myself these days. This is the OSMO Pocket 3. So I've had this since it came out. I was one of the lucky ones who was able to order it and get it almost instantly. This is an extremely powerful camera in a very small form factor. And I've been a fan of the OSMO Pocket line since they came out. I actually still use the original one often and for this channel. It's something that I don't really have to think about while I'm out there filming because I want to focus on the photos, but the image quality is solid enough so that I don't feel like I'm shooting with a potato. It has great color science, it's very small, it has this battery grip which gives it another 30 or 40% battery life while you're out, so it's another thing you don't have to think about is charging this camera. Outside of that, there are some normal things like cleaning cloth. This is an extra large cleaning cloth I got in a 4-pack on Amazon. It just keeps unfolding and unfolding. This thing is huge. I like these because you don't accidentally grab your lens and your thumb doesn't come through and smudge it up again. It's large enough to actually wrap the whole lens in. They're very handy to have a cleaning rag this size. And of course, I wouldn't be on YouTube if I wasn't saying, hey, write in a notebook. But I am like, hey, write in a notebook. I have dozens of notebooks and I love taking notes. And I'm not going to be one of those guys who tells you to get the fancy ones that have words on them and they're like made specifically for photographers or people who are out in the field. Just get any notebook that has pages that you can write on and has a pen that you can visibly see. That is it. You don't need to get the most expensive things. It is nice to have that tactile approach rather than taking notes on your phone. There's something special about taking notes with your own hand. One of the more interesting things that I bring with me is one of the least interesting things there really is. It is an old digicam. I had digicams when they were new, and I don't even think they called them digicams. I think they called them digital cameras because there was digital cameras and there were film cameras. So having something like this is really fun to throw in the top part of the bag rather than in the camera part, so that if I am inspired by something or I'm out with friends or I want to capture something in a built-in nostalgic kind of way, this is the camera that I reach for. It is a Canon SD1000. I've made a few videos using it. It is really fun to use something like this, which turns off your brain and is all about capturing the moment rather than fiddling with dials and trying to make the perfect photo. This one is perfectly imperfect.
And this is what all of that looks like. You know, it's not a whole lot of stuff, but it's enough stuff. So like it weighs a little bit. If you're out all day, it's you know, going to take its toll on you. So you don't always have to bring this much stuff. Half the time I bring things like maybe one camera, one lens, and the Osmo Pocket Original, which weighs, I can't imagine, more than 4 or 5 pounds in a bag. But this is if I'm going to be going out. I don't know what I'm going to be doing. This is kind of a casual, go out and do it sort of setup. And this is what all that looks like in the drawer part of the bag. Like, it doesn't take up too much space. And I love that it's kind of a low center of gravity. One of those things where you don't feel like you've overpacked, even though you have like a lot of variety in there. And this is what the top looks like. I just kind of toss it in there, you know, somewhat haphazardly. And I don't think it's going to be much of an issue because I'm not jogging somewhere. I'm not shaking my bag. I'm not crushing my bag. It's just a regular backpack. So there you have it.
Because I like to do so much street photography or documentary style photography, I also like to challenge myself while I'm out, because while it is nice to get used to the camera equipment that you do have, it's also a lot of fun to try things that maybe you would not have tried because it is outside of your wheelhouse. And one of my favorite things personally is to get inexpensive or vintage lenses and take them out and force yourself to be creative in a way that maybe you would not have been if you were using a modern piece of glass. I have here a Helios 442, which is a very popular vintage lens right now. But it doesn't have to be this, it can be any vintage piece of glass, something that you can get under $100, and it could challenge you to take some interesting photos or try something new. So this is new to me. I don't really talk to cameras almost ever. I like being in public, I like public speaking, I like being the center of attention, but when it comes to photography or filmmaking, I prefer to be behind the camera. But since I started this channel, I realized that I like to teach, or teach in my own way. I'm not here to tell you how to use your camera or use your lenses or the right way or the wrong way to do something. What I do like to do is to examine the philosophy or the psychology of photography as a whole or in general as it pertains to the type of photography that I'm interested in. In saying that, I'm not sure if I'm going to continue making these types of videos. If you're interested in seeing more, let me know. If you want to see more of me out on the street talking as I do, I'm going to keep making those. So what I want to do is say thank you for coming along and let me know what you think. Until next time, adios.